Welcome. This is Flying the Flabob Express, a briefing on how we actually fly the grand old lady. What I may do in the next 30 minutes between part 1 and part 2 is scare the hell out of anyone who ever thought they wanted to fly one. And maybe that's a good thing. But for the bold, let's begin. It has been an honor to fly the grand old lady, and to be involved with the wonderful people of historic Flabob Airport. In order to earn that privilege, I feel compelled to share the respect I have for her legacy. So here's how this goes. We'll cover the numbers you must know cold, the flows the crew works through together, the systems, particularly the gear and the propellers, which are ingenious and completely unforgiving, and the gotchas, the mistakes that bend rods and worse. Keep one thing in mind throughout. She can be docile, and she can be a bitch. Have patience with yourself. Give yourself a chance to know her, and you will come to love her. We never fly her single pilot, so crew resource management runs through everything we do. There is one PIC and one SIC, but there is a mandate for deliberate communication in both directions. Every crew member, and that includes a crew chief, a loadmaster, maintenance, is expected to speak up clearly and at the right time about anything affecting the safety of flight. And every crew member is expected to challenge or correct anyone, including the PIC. Doing so respectfully. The pilot flying flies the airplane, whatever seat he's in. The pilot monitoring works the radios and the checklists, but he is not a passenger. He's actively monitoring the systems, the numbers, and the pilot flying. Control changes hands only one way. You have the aircraft. I have the aircraft. If you're going heads down for anything at all, you hand it over first. And on checklists, we use a flow to set up, then we read the written checklist to confirm. Checklist is not complete until every item has been done or considered. You never skip one intending to come back. One more, no checklists are read while crossing an active runway. Both pilots heads up. The only words are cleared to cross, clear on the left, clear on the right. Start with a general once over. Is she secure? Locks and pitot covers on, tie-downs attached, cowl flaps open, any inappropriate puddles of oil or hydraulic fluid. Inside, on your way to the cockpit, emergency exit handles horizontal fire extinguishers charged. In the cockpit, the list you see here. And note the gear hydraulic pressure. 250 psi minimum before anybody pulls the gear pins. Then we walk the props. 12 blades, with the pre-oiler on for the first 8. And while you're walking them, you are feeling for resistance beyond normal compression. That resistance is a hydraulic lock, oil pooled in a lower cylinder. If you feel it, you stop and you call maintenance. Now the control locks come off in 2 stages, and this matters. First, before the pre-flight, elevator and aileron locks and the pitot covers. But you leave the rudder lock on, the gear pins in, and the chocks in place until just before engine start. Why? Because in a tailwind, an unlocked rudder will beat itself to death against its stops. Don't pull that lock until someone is sitting in the cockpit with their feet on the pedals. And the chocks stay until just before start, so that if you get a fuel fire on the ground under an engine, you can taxi away from it. A word of warning. Operating a DC-3 generates enormous enthusiasm. At airshows, fly-ins, anytime the public is around, everyone you meet will want to help. When they see you removing the aileron and elevator locks, they will helpfully remove the rudder lock for you. They don't know it's a 2-stage process. They don't know you're not ready. They always want to help walk the props. They do not know you're feeling for a hydraulic lock. And should they encounter one, they will push harder. They don't want to let you down. That will bend a rod. Your pre-flight will be constantly interrupted by people asking questions, taking pictures, telling you about their own DC-3 stories. There is nothing wrong with any of that, except if you let it interrupt what you are doing. Beware. The pilot flying normally starts the engine farthest away from him first. That way he can better hear the second engine during its start. The 3 switches on the center upper panel are labeled Prime, Energize, and Mesh. Energize and Mesh are labels left over from a starting system we no longer use. They should really say starter and shower of sparks. Operate those 2 together as though they were one switch. So boost pump on, check fuel pressure. Pull and hold the starter and sparks. The pilot nearest the engine counts the blades out loud. You prime at 6 blades. You call for mags at 9. When she catches, you call mixture, and the PM brings it from idle cutoff to auto rich. Then, and this is important, you go back the top of the starting engine's checklist and start again for the other engine. That way you never forget the fire extinguisher selector, the left-right select switch, or the boost pump. 2 notes to avoid embarrassment, because everyone at the airport is watching. 1. If your prop doesn't move when you engage the starter, your left-right select switch is sitting in the middle, in neutral. 2. If the prop turns but the engine just won't start, you haven't turned on the boost pump. Taxiing the DC-3 is not for the faint of heart. First, warm her up. 40 degrees oil, 100 degrees cylinder heads minimum before you move. The brakes are expander tube type. They're extremely effective, and they get hot fast, and they're expensive and hard to find. So we have a policy of minimizing brake use. It is very tempting to carry too much power and steer with differential braking. Don't. Minimum power and steer with differential power. Keep your eye on the RPM, not on throttle feel. If the RPMs aren't matched, you'll turn toward the lower side, and there's a lag in response. Here's a technique. Set the left throttle at 900 RPM and never touch it again. Make every change on the right throttle only, keeping it between 700 and 1100. Anticipation is the key, and it takes practice. To turn, you unlock the tailwheel. And if that unlock lever doesn't release easily, do not pull harder. Gently tap one brake or the other until it frees up. Pull hard and you may break the cable to the tailwheel. Please don't do this. And once she's unlocked, all hell breaks loose. Seriously. She will turn on a dime and she responds extremely sensitively to brake input. Touch them ever so lightly. Anticipate with power. Don't worry. It takes practice. In a strong crosswind, carry more RPM on the upwind engine and keep that tailwheel locked. And don't be afraid to ask your PM to help you hold the rudders in a quartering tailwind. Your thighs will wear out otherwise. Run up. Confirm your temps. Oil at or above 50, cylinder heads over 100. Set 1700 RPM on both engines. Exercise the props all the way to full course pitch and back, and make sure you come all the way back to 1200 RPM, because that checks the governor range. Now the feather check. Each pilot works the button on his own side, and the other pilot watches. It sounds like this. The pilot working the button says in, the other pilot, watching the ammeter jump, says node. Then, watching the RPM drop. The working pilot says out. The other says UNNOD, and then recover, as RPM comes back to 1700. Then you switch roles and do the other engine. Field baro holding the brakes. Bring the manifold pressure up to field barometric pressure. Usually 29 or 30 inches near sea level. At that setting you're looking for 2250, plus or minus 50. If it's 2200 or less, you probably have a failed cylinder. If it's over 2300, the propeller blade stop is out of adjustment. Then the mag check. The pilot checking has his hand on his mag switch and his eyes outside, on the cowl, looking for unusual vibration. The other pilot watches the RPM. It sounds like this: left, right, both. Good. Max drop is 100, but you'll rarely see over 25. And one warning. The right mag is 1 click away from BO teeth. The left is 2 clicks. If you accidentally click past the left mag all the way to off, leave it off. Let the engine stop and restart. Do not snap that switch back on. You will get a very large backfire and very likely damage. The before takeoff checklist ends with a crew briefing. Here's what one sounds like at Flabob. Today is the day we could lose an engine at the worst possible moment. Be ready. Call out any significant malfunction you see, loud and clear. We will hold brakes, push the throttles up to field baro, checking RPM, pressures and temps. If it all looks good, I will release brakes and set the power to 45 inches. Fine-tune the throttles for me if needed. If a significant problem occurs prior to 84 knots, I will announce reject. Close both throttles and stop on the runway. If past 84, I will fly the airplane. Push power to full if we need it. Bank 3 to 5 degrees into the good engine. Raise the dead and accelerate to vise 95 knots. The PM will retract the gear on my command. If it's an engine failure, I will identify dead foot, dead engine. The PM verifies by looking at the cylinder temp gauge. Then he touches the bad throttle and announces, "This is the bad throttle." I answer, "I agree." He pulls it back. Same for the bad prop, the bad mixture, the bad feather button. Touch, announce, agree, act. In any emergency, we will probably plan to land at Riverside. That briefing is not a formality. Say it every time. Use all available runway. For a DC-3, V1 equals V2 equals 84 knots. Hold the brakes. Push the throttles to field borrow. Confirm 2250 each. Temps good, oil pressure good. Then release the brakes, heels on the floor, and push up to 45 inches. 45 is what we use at Flabob, and it preserves engine life. On runways over 5,000 feet, we use 42. And if you need 48, by all means, use it. The PM helps fine-tune the throttles, watches for 2700 RPM and calls airspeed alive, 60 and V2 at 84. Because it is loud in there, even with headsets, he also puts 2 fingers in front of your face at V2. Your eyes are outside, on the far end of the runway, not under the nose or you will over-control. The rudder is extremely effective. Use half of what you think you need, see if it corrects, then take half of that out. At about 20 knots, push the control wheel full forward and wait. The tail is heavy, it takes its time. Somewhere around 40 knots it comes up, and now you must keep forward pressure to keep that nose pinned down. The natural tendency is to relax, and she will lift off below VMC. Keep the nose pinned. When the PM says V2 and shows you 2 fingers, you are committed. Ease back steadily and fly her off. Command positive rate, gear up. Accelerate to a pattern climb of 105 knots. V is 97, and Bob's your uncle. That gorgeous, unmistakable DC-3 silhouette beneath you is your own. At about 300 feet, call Clim Power, climb checklist. The PM sets 36 inches and 2400, and works the flow silently. The only words spoken. Once you've both looked out your windows, up, clean and dry on the left, on the right.